isn't really a right or wrong way of doing it, but there are some well-established fundamentals and exercises you can do that apply to pretty much any type of drawing. Hello and welcome to the first session of our Learn to Draw videos, in which I'll walk you through some tips and techniques about sketching. The aim of these videos is to give you a basic knowledge and foundation of sketching, so you can start practicing and improving your drawing and visual communication skills. A common misconception is that drawing is just a talent you're born with, and if not, you might as well forget it. The reality is that if you can write letters by hand, you already have the sufficient motor skills to draw. Drawing is a learned skill, much like math, sports, or playing a musical instrument, and mastering it comes straight down to the amount of practice and work you put into it. As someone who has a background in industrial design, the topics and examples I'll discuss here will be mostly design related. But as I already mentioned, the same principles can be applied to basically any type of sketching. Like with any other exercise, it's always a good idea to start by warming up first. Simple things like connecting dots with lines or curves and repeatedly
Let's assume these are dots. I don't have much confidence in my lines. I think I'm not moving my whole hand correctly. This is a warm-up. That's what warm-ups are for. Now saying I draw. But if this is at 50, I can draw a straight line. Yes. See? It's much straighter. And if I act fast, I can do it.
drawing basic shapes like circles, ellipses, rectangles, and triangles will significantly improve your general line quality
Yeah,
over
I've been
time.
trying to draw circles.
Building these things into your muscle memory is important, as it'll allow you to think by drawing. When you draw something, and the line work happens sort of automatically.
Okay, he's drawing shapes. This is wrong. Some progress, I guess.
You can put more conscious effort into the action.
It is shading. Oops. A little bit smaller. Yes.
Illustration or design problem that you're solving. Again, it doesn't really matter how you warm up, as long as you do it as often as you can on a regular basis. Doing these for, say, 5 minutes before each drawing session should be plenty enough. Ellipses are especially important, as they're notoriously hard to master. At the same time, they're one of the most common shapes we're surrounded by. Just have a look around you, and you'll notice that a lot of objects are based on circular shapes, which are technically ellipses too. Coffee mugs, headphones, bottles, bicycles, a roll of tape. All of them are built by making use of circular shapes. And those circular shapes always appear as perfect ellipses when looked at from an angle. As you progress, you'll eventually learn that basically any form can be drawn by combining these basic shapes. The idea of these warm-ups is to get your hand and eye working together. Getting to a point where your line feels confident will take a lot of repetitions, but doing this will significantly improve your drawings on the long run. You can turn your sheet of paper or tablet in a position that lets you move your arm naturally. You can keep turning it in order to retain this angle for cleaner lines, although it's always good practice to draw your lines in varying directions as well. Start the movements all the way from your shoulder. Try to lock your wrist and move your whole arm instead. Also, make sure there's enough space around you so it's easy for you to keep a natural posture. It's important to visualize the line before drawing it, so you can even do a few dry runs of the stroke before committing to it. When using a tablet device, I personally like to have a matte screen protector on it because it allows my hand to slide on the surface, making these broad movements a little easier. Some people even like to use these specially made drawing gloves for this. Drawing by doing broad fluid motions will result in more intentional and confident lines. Instead of putting the pen down first and stopping at the end of your stroke, your arm in constant movement makes it easier to draw strokes that look more dynamic. Extending the movement beyond the edge of the object you're drawing helps. This has the added benefit of making your corners overlap when you're combining these lines into shapes. It just tends to look much tidier than cutting them short. Also, drawing big is something you'll need to practice, as it allows you to include much more detail and information in a single piece. Not to say that there's anything wrong with small doodles or thumbnails. They can help you to capture lots of ideas very efficiently. If you do these exercises on a piece of paper, I highly recommend getting a stack of inexpensive copy paper or a roll of tracing paper, so you can draw as much as you like without having to spare it or keep erasing your practice sheets. You might want to get a dedicated sketchbook for when you're doing actual drawing studies, so you can store them and reflect on those later to see how you progressed. This is why it's also worth getting into the habit of always putting down the date on your drawings.
Wait. He said tracing paper, inexpensive. It started right when it's on 50. Expensive. And tracing paper, inexpensive tracing paper. And what was the last one? Yeah, sketchbook. To keep your practice. And what was it? Okay, yeah. Put on the date.
Experimenting with different types of pens, markers, pencils, and other media is something I highly recommend, so you can discover what you like. And it doesn't have to be fancy in any way. Sometimes it's the cheapest ballpoint you get from a gas station that has the perfect flow. Yeah, good luck replacing that one when it dries out. Anyway, the unforgiving nature of drawing tools that can't be erased can kind of force you to better draftsmanship. Designers often tend to use pens and markers as it forces them to move quickly from one idea to the next. When it comes to sketching, the more confident you get at it, the more efficiently you'll be able to think visually and get your ideas down. This will help you to communicate your ideas with others and work toward creating a saleable story, illustration, or design. Remember that during the ideation stages, it's not really about how pretty or artistic your sketches are, but rather the ideas they convey.
Looks like something.
Most contemporary designers have started sketching with traditional media, or analog, and that's probably what they'll suggest beginners to start with as well. The bottom line is that if you get good at analog, you're eventually going to be great at digital. No amount of practice is going to be wasted, that's for sure. Digital medium, along with these mobile devices, allows you to take sketching to the next level and to do it anywhere. And this is a fairly recent progression, as formerly digital sketching was generally considered as something that chains you to the desk of your workspace. Nowadays, drawing tablets are relatively accessible, which makes them a popular choice amongst people in the creative fields. Let's face it, drawing things, whether simple or complex, can be frustrating sometimes. So it's important to train yourself to relax while drawing. Even simple warm-ups should help you to flow and feel confident. If you're too tense, you're probably not going to draw that well. Strive to draw in situations that allow you to enjoy it. Listening to music or podcasts can be a good distraction, or just doodling while laying on the couch with the TV on. Figure out what works for you and make a habit out of it.
Ugh, my lines are so weak.
Before wrapping up this video, I wanted to share this practice sheet with those of you who prefer a bit of a more systematic approach. You can download this from the links below and practice in concepts. Or you can just print out a bunch of them and practice on paper. Just download the file on your tablet from the link below, open it in concepts, and you're ready to go.
What's link though?
If
I
you're
didn't see
familiar with
the
line
link.
smoothing, I'd suggest you set it to 0% for this.
I want the line
scale the
smoothing
image to a
though.
size that feels comfortable. Again,
This is so hard.
drawing big
Okay.
is something I recommend getting used to.
But I can't
And
draw.
try not to use the
Okay.
undo button all the time. I know it can be tempting once you've gotten used to it, but you'll notice that you start approaching each individual stroke a bit differently without it. After each exercise, you can create a new layer on top for you to draw on the next time you need to warm up. Eventually, you'll end up with several layers of these, and you can easily keep track of your progress. Alright, so if you got any other techniques you like to use to warm up, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. There's more to come. If you want to make sure not to miss anything, you can hit the bell button below the video to get notified about the next one. And I'll see you then. Bye.
No.